Well, PA Plow Day 2024 is officially green-lit, good to go. And that means I got to get some tractors running. I haven't really been doing much with tractors recently, probably for a couple years now. Trucks, work, different projects, all kinds of stuff that kind of gets in the way. And it's cool. It's happening this year. It happened last year. I didn't make it. It was kind of up in the air. Dave and his team were able to pull it together, and now it just means that the rest of us have to do our job and get ready. So earlier today, I was able to get the green truck, which is right there, back on the road. It was down for a little bit while I was putting a new oil cooler on it. Did 100 miles on it today, no problem. So I'm going to just keep kind of giving that thing some TLC here and there, but it's pretty much ready to go. I'm going to go through my little trailer, get that thing ready. But the big thing is these tractors. I know there's going to be tractors there that belong to my friends that I can probably borrow, which is cool, and I really appreciate their generosity, but I want to bring my own stuff. So 67 Suburban 10, went to Plow Day for the first and only time in 2019, did pretty good, pulled a single 10, loaded 23 1050 True Powers. It had a couple suitcase weights on the front. That's all it needed. So this thing's been sitting. You can see the mice have been in here making a mess. Hopefully nothing too crazy. This is a points motor, not the solid state, starting in 68. So hopefully we got some good luck ahead for us there. Otherwise, this thing should basically just be a tune-up, oil change, fresh gas, battery, good to go. 8XL is a little different. This has actually seen some use since Plow Day, but you'll notice that it's got this different fuel tank on it, different based on what these little Chinese diesels come with, and that's because there was an issue with fuel leaking out of the factory tank. So I kind of came up with this setup, which actually is pretty nice, but I haven't been able to get this thing to pop off yet. So it took a couple days, or I'm going to be taking a couple days off work over the next 2 weeks, in addition to my time on the weekends to try to get these things going. And tonight, I think my objective, because we're going to have some crappy weather this weekend, is I'm going to get these things loaded up, take them to the car wash, get them cleaned out as good as I can, put the gloves on the fuel tank so that hopefully no water gets in. And then I'll have 2 days this weekend to just kind of go through them. And hopefully, if this thing just needs gas, carb clean, spark plug, I can handle all that with parts that are locally available to me. Anything beyond that, starting to get into like head gaskets or carb kits or that sort of stuff, I'm probably going to strike out. So we'll see what happens there. On this thing, kind of what needs to happen is I need to throw a battery in it, hook up the electric start because it's a bitch to pull over, and see if we can get it fired up and running reliably. Really no reason it shouldn't. I did a leak test on this fuel tank. Seems to be good to go. It's gravity feed from the tank down to the injection pump, and it's got a nice unobstructed path there. But for some reason, I can't seem to pull fuel into the filter, so I got to see what's going on there. Once this thing's up and running, I need to take care of the steering. It's basically a second-gen Dodge at this point. And then, put the tins back on it, kind of tune it up as well. So enough talking. I'm going to get these things loaded up on the trailer, and I'll see you guys at the car wash. Well, we got them all cleaned up. All kinds of crap on the trailer from what came out of these things. The Suburban 10 was definitely the worst of the two, which is no surprise. This thing's been repainted over the years, mainly the orange from what I can tell. But I think if I have time to do it, I'm going to try to go over it with either Scotch-Brite or something, see if I can bring back the paint a little bit. And but the big thing is now these things are not so gross that I don't want to touch them. I've been wearing gloves handling the Suburban 10 just because I don't want to get mouse shit all over me and then, whatever that leads to. So got them clean enough to where tomorrow I can see what we got to work with. But anyway, one thing at a time. At least now they're reasonably clean and somewhat reminiscent of their former glory. So check that off the box and back to work. And I think I'm gonna get started here first. And I'm just gonna go really simple through it. Do things like check the oil, get the battery charged up, or maybe jump it off something else. It looks like fuel gauge says empty. We'll have to see how true that is. This thing I'd gone through it not too long ago. So it's got newer fuel lines that are rock hard, so maybe not. But I'm just gonna kind of give this thing a basic once over, probably pull this tin off, make sure that we don't have any sort of mouse house under the engine cover, and then take it from there. But all things considered, we may have avoided any kind of serious damage, but the further I get into this thing, the more I'll find, and keep you guys updated along the way. We got the engine shroud off, and it's a good thing we did, because there's definitely more evidence in here, and that would have very quickly rotted out. So look at the light. So we can see got a bunch more cleaning to do, and then also I'm gonna go through here and redo the wire from the condenser down to the points, because that's broken, and gonna go ahead and hit the engine block with some pretty heavy degreaser. You can see I wound up just cutting the fuel line because it was pretty old and brittle. Looks like we got some exposed wires on the coil, so I don't know, might be up against it here a little bit. But I'm gonna get this thing soaking down with some degreaser and start researching some parts, and from there we will probably turn our attention to the 8XL. That's a little bit better. All right, update time. So threw the new battery in and confirmed that the starter generator works on the key, which it does, and replaced the broken wire that was there, and threw a plug in it, checked for spark. Somehow this thing is making sparks, so I put some more electrical tape on the spark plug lead, and I think should be ready to throw some fire maker down the yap and see what happens. Oh, almost forgot. We've got loose head bolts. It sounds like it wants to run. All right, let's try that again. Oh yeah, all day. What we got going on here? Stay out of the way. Good enough. Well, we got a runner, and that means that I can go ahead and kind of put it back together, start working on the fuel system. I'm gonna see if I can get away without opening up the carb, and I don't know, see what happens. This thing was always a good runner, just been sitting, so see what happens. All right, I've got it basically all back together. Put some gas in it. Not even gonna touch the carb. I drained or just cleaned out the sediment bowl. And, I don't know, see what it's got. Cool, so we got them running. The 10 fired right up, and then kind of started playing with it a little bit. And I do think I'm gonna need to go through the carb on it. And also, it wouldn't surprise me if that partially chewed through spark plug wire is causing just issues if it's not running a hot enough spark. So I'm gonna work on getting that disassembled so that I can kind of work on the fuel system a little bit. And then on the 8, I was able to get this thing to pop off while I was just running the 10. And this thing is kind of a bear to pull start, not just physically, it just takes a lot of pulls to get going for some reason. I don't know if it's a fuel pump thing or a compression thing, but I think I'm gonna try to make a pretty good effort to make this thing fully functional electric start, including adding an alternator to charge the battery. So I'll figure out what's going on there. I just got back from a trip to the hardware store where I picked up some Quad Zero steel wool and WD-40. I'm gonna try to clean up some of this old paint and see if I can bring it back around. And then on the 8XL, the formerly red engine cover is now a nice shade of pink. So I picked up this stuff and I'm gonna see if I can match it a little bit. So I'm gonna try to do a little bit of cosmetic work in addition to getting these things tuned up mechanically. This thing doesn't have great paint, but I'm still gonna throw a shine on it. So all I did here was wipe it down with some WD. I soaked the Quad Zero in WD and then just kind of worked it in circles and wiped it off. So I'm gonna settle in and go to town on this thing. I just got a coat of paint on the engine shroud for the little diesel. I suspect it's gonna be nowhere near the same shade, but it'll look better than pink. Who knows, maybe it'll come out looking better than I thought. But anyway, I'm gonna buckle in for the next couple hours and just get working on these things and see if I can clean them up a little bit. Well, I think I'm gonna call it a night. I'm frankly not patient enough to be very good at any kind of paint correction, but it's shinier than it was before, and that's cool. I got 3 coats on the engine tin, so we'll work on putting this thing back together tomorrow, and I'll go over it with the steel wool and the WD-40 as well. And gonna see how good I can get the hood cleaned up. This thing's got a lot of rust stains on it, and I was watching old Plow Day videos from years ago, and it was a lot cleaner, so it kind of bums me out, but it's what you get when you let your stuff sit. So anyway, hopefully by the end of tomorrow, this thing will be buttoned up minus the revisions to the electrical system. And then I'm gonna take a ride up probably in the morning to go shopping for vintage tractor parts, and I'll take you guys along with me, of course. And I don't know, if by the end of tomorrow these two guys are running smoothly and the paint looks good and tires are holding air and all that, that would be a massive win. We got a couple inches of rain today, and the yard turned into mashed potatoes. Otherwise, I'd try to pull the big diesel out. I'm not confident that the big diesel would go, but who knows? Depending on how much work I can get done tomorrow, it might be in the cards. So keep you guys updated, and I'll see you tomorrow. We are on our way to the local dealer of vintage tractor parts. Here at the vintage tractor parts store, where this kind gentleman is looking up parts for me. So far, this is what we got. Guaranteed to maybe work, right?
Just about. Only the finest parts here at Jake's General Repair, folks.
The finest parts. So I went shopping this morning, and I got a couple things. So I got bowl gaskets and a float for the Suburban 10. A couple shutoff valves just to have as spares. I'm going to attack the carburetor on this in a minute. And then if that doesn't fix the kind of rough idle condition I had yesterday, then I'm going to take a look at the ignition system. So I have a couple coils here and a condenser. Basically everything I need to convert the Tecumseh Points magneto ignition over to like a Kohler battery automotive ignition. And those came from Jake. Thank you, Jake. Appreciate everything. I think what I'm going to do first is just try to button up the 8XL. So I did an oil change on it yesterday, and I got the flywheel screen ready to go. So I'm going to get everything put back together there, get the hood and grill bolted onto it, and just try to button this up a little bit, and then get back on the Suburban 10. Well, there you have it, folks. So we got the 8XL buttoned up, got the new engine tin on. This thing's like 11 different colors of orange, but that's okay. I did wipe down the hood quick with the steel wool WD-40 combination. Came back a little bit, so did the grill. Got this all bolted in. Fuel tank fits good. It's close, but it ain't touching. That won't be a problem until it's time to hook up the lights. Pretty simply, just pull the tank out, make a couple slots here, and we're gonna be good to go. Here at Hughes Garage, we don't do things right, we do them twice. And that includes trips to Jake's house.
That's right.
All right, it's update time. This thing's been kicking my butt, but I think I got it all figured out, and got the coil swapped on. It was working, then it wasn't again, now it is. At one point I was thinking about going back to the magneto, so I put that back on, and that was giving me really inconsistent spark. So I'm pretty sure I got it to the point where we're good to go with the Kohler coil setup, and now I just have to add a switch because I was trying to grab power off the factory ignition switch, which wasn't working. So I think what I'm going to do for the time being, because I don't want to drill a hole in the dash, I'd rather just get the correct ignition switch from like a Cub Cadet or something else. But I don't have time for that. So what I'm going to do is just take this very simple on-off toggle. Probably going to put it somewhere here. One side to the battery, one side to the coil, and that way I can kill the ignition. So I'm just going to whip up a little bracket. I ordered parts for the 8XL that'll be here tomorrow. This video is going to be super long. I might chop it up. I have no idea. But got this thing to the point where it's running, and I just got to do a couple finishing touches. I went out and bought some fresh gas, gave it a little concoction of fuel additives, and my goal is to get this thing together, outside, running, and let it burn through like half a tank or something, because it's been a while since it's really had any sort of serious run. So we're getting there. Just a pain in the ass. Well, we're skipping way ahead. Truthfully, I don't even remember what the last clip was, but basically this is where we're at. The Suburban 10 starts, runs, drives. We're in pretty good shape here. Only thing left to figure out is it's not charging, which it was charging earlier, and then I converted it to the battery ignition, and now it isn't. So I got to poke around in there with a multimeter and figure out what's going on. The 8XL, I had planned on putting an alternator on it externally. It's way too big. So instead, there's a little plug in there. That's the stator that's under the flywheel. It puts out about 27 volts alternating current, and I have a rectifier on the way for that. Even if we can just kind of trickle charge the battery as it's going, that's all I really care about. So this week I got to run out and grab a battery and hook up the electric start, because it's just kind of a bear to get going with the pull start. Otherwise, this thing's ready to go. I painted the weight bracket for it there. I'm gonna hang a couple weights on the front of it, a couple weights on the front of the 10. Went down the shed, got the plows out, got the hitches back on. We're gonna be pulling an 8 with the 8XL and a 10 with the Suburban 10. This thing honestly could probably handle a 10, but really no need. So that's really it. The next time you guys see these things, we'll probably be on a trailer. But it's been a couple of weeks, you know, a wild ride these last couple of weeks, trying to get everything ready. And, you know, I got a lot done. There's still plenty more that I wish I had gotten done. But anyway, like I said, next time you see these things, they're going to be on a trailer, ready to go.